Hey next door app neighbors, it's Mario here again. You know, unfortunately with spring coming, a lot of people are going to get water in their basements or water collecting outside, which will eventually wind up in the basement. And I know ideally you should be looking at getting a permanent fix, but that's not in the cards for a lot of people because, quite frankly, it's a lot of money. We're probably talking $10,000 to get some of that work done. But you need to do something. So let's start off with problem number one, and that's water coming into your basement. What do you do then? You can constantly mop it up if you want. A lot of times it's going to come in when you're not around and it'll build up, and of course that lake keeps getting bigger and bigger in the basement, and it becomes a bit of a nightmare. So I've got a technique here that's going to show you how to take that water with a shop vac and a sensing device, and you're going to run a hose to your drain, and every time that water comes in, that shop vac is going to push that water to the drain. You don't even have to be around for that. The other thing we're going to look at today is clearing that lake that might be building up on the side of your house, because that in itself is going to be a problem. So we're going to take a pump and the same sensing device, and we're going to drain that lake down to nothing almost instantly, and hopefully that's going to make a big difference about how much water you actually get into the house. So let's go and take a look. So you may have water coming into your basement, and short of spending $10,000 to fix it, you still need to deal with it. You may or may not have the money to do the correct fix, but in the meantime, what do you do with the water that's coming in? There's a relatively easy solution, and I'm going to show you just how to do that. You're going to need a shop vac, and this model doesn't have it, but get one that has a hose connection at the top where you can run a garden hose to a drain. That's the important part of this system, is that you can move the water that's on the floor to the floor drain and not have to worry about it collecting up. The second part of this is a sensing device. What this does, it takes a low voltage electrical current, and once that low voltage touches any kind of moisture, it's going to turn the vacuum on. So what the principle behind it is, we plug our shop vac into the sensor. The shop vac is already in the on position. We're going to plug it into the wall, and as you can see, nothing happens. But when we take our probe, and as soon as our probe comes in contact with water, that's when the magic happens. So I'm going to put the probe down like so, near the head of the shop vac. As soon as it senses the water is gone, it turns the pump off. It's that simple. It just bridges the two poles and creates a joint for the electricity, a resistance for the electricity to come on and turn this box on. I'll do it again. Now you can put this probe wherever you want, and what I would recommend is you put it near where the source of the water is going to be. So let's say this is a concrete wall and you've got water coming in here. You want to have your probe as close to that as possible, where the water is coming in, and then you're going to have your head of your shop vac basically right beside there, because the purpose of this is when it senses the water, it's going to turn the shop vac on, which will clear the water around the probe. Now it may come on frequently, but the good thing is you're not going to have water traveling any further than basically the head of your shop vac. So once again, it's just simply water. And that's it. I mean, ideally you want to fix the problem with the basement to the best of your abilities, but if you're not able to do that, it doesn't mean you have to have water all over the house. You can use a sensor like this to basically turn on this unit and move that water to a different location, and that way save yourself some flooding. Now, this same principle works if you're getting a lake outside on your property, like near your windows or that type of thing. If your house is sloped and you're getting a large body of water building up and you're worried about it eventually coming into the house, I'm going to show you the same idea except with a pump. Now, you can't use a pump in this scenario because the pump doesn't have enough suction to pick the water up, but you can certainly use a shop vac with a hose to the drain to get that accomplished. So let me show you the pump part of this. All right, let's assume you have a lake of water building up on your property somewhere that you want to get rid of. Now, you may or may not know, you can buy any pump you want, but if it has a mechanical float on it, which means it's something like this, like the toilet bowl valve or that type of thing, or any other mechanical kind of float, it's not going to work because you simply cannot let water build up that high, otherwise you'll flood it. This is a utility pump from Canadian Tire. It sucks down to 1/8 of an inch, which is actually quite low. And as you can see, it doesn't have a float. This is a manual pump. So we want to figure out how can we turn the pump on when the water level starts to get too high and we can't use a float in it. So what we do is we have the same kind of electrical resistance device that we had in the earlier video that I showed you where we were using the shop vac with a slight variance to it. This one here is going to sense the water level at about 1/8 of an inch mark, turn the pump on and suck it down. Now, if I want it higher, all I have to do is take my tire out, move it up higher on the unit, and the water will build up. Now, we don't want to get it too high, of course, because then you have to deal with a deeper lake than you want to deal with. But ideally, this does suck down to 1/8 of an inch, so I can put it basically anywhere I want along that side. And how does it work? Let me show you. I can't actually make a lake in my basement. What I can do is I can take a glass of water and I can just dip it in. And as you see, it turns the pump on. So this is just about 1/4 of an inch off the ground, and the pump will run for a predetermined time and stop again once the water level is low. So the critical factor of this is that you can put this outside. It's not going to cause any problems because it's electrical. The pump is totally enclosed. It's meant to be a submersible pump to begin with. This device here is meant to be an outdoor application as well, so it doesn't matter if it gets rained on or that type of thing. The only thing you have to do is you have to take the controller itself and you have to put that in something waterproof along with your electrical connection so that you don't get a shock. So you can get a tote box, mount it inside a tote box, run your electrical cord somewhere wherever you need to, and you're good to go. So the whole idea being is that you can drain the lake and not need a mechanical float to do that, because they will not simply work in small bodies of water. So I'll show it to you one more time. I'll plug it back in. And you can see that I've got this set at a particular height. If this was outside on the concrete and this water hits it, it turns the pump on, throws that water down your hose to wherever you need to expel it to. So it's a good opportunity to get rid of the lake that you have and not worry about water buildup so much. This pump, you're looking at Canadian Tire, it's a utility pump, a manual pump. It's probably about $69. Check to see on the box and make sure that it's sucking down to 1/8 of an inch, which is perfect. This controller I'm going to provide a link to in the video and in the text that I provide you with. They're about $100. It'll be a multi-purpose one. You'll be able to use it for this, for the pump setup, and you'll be able to use it for the basement setup where you're going to use a shop vac to move water if you need to. Hopefully this helps you out a little bit, stops you from flooding, and if you have questions, as usual, you know how to reach me on the app and ask me, and I'll do my best to help you. So there you have it. We have two methods of moving water from areas that it shouldn't be. The first one, of course, we're going to use a shop vac and the sensing device and a hose connection to move that to your drain. The other one, we're going to take a pump that pumps down to 1/8 of an inch and the same sensing device, and we're going to move that water from the outside to somewhere safer where it doesn't build up against your house and cause flooding. They aren't cheap. I mean, by the time you add up the cost of a shop vac and the sensor, which is about $100, you know, I'll tell you though, it's a lot cheaper than looking at $10,000, especially if you can't fix it. Everybody is going to tell you you need to get this fixed. I understand that, but where's the money going to come from? you still have to live in the place, and you still have to do something about the water that comes in. So for somewhere around $200, maybe $250, you're gonna live with it. You can move the water. You can pretty well guarantee that your basement isn't just gonna gush water out all over the place because you have the shop vac and the sensor doing this job. So I hope this works out for you, and as usual, if you have any questions, you know how to reach me on the app. I'd be more than happy to help you, and let's go and get it taken care of. See you around the neighborhood.